This video will cover the basics of TSM. There will be separate videos for specific areas of TSM that will dig a lot deeper. Feel free to click ahead to any section you want. TSM is the ultimate goblin add-on. It's a tool to make you more efficient. Here are some of the main features of TSM. It will let you post and cancel many auctions in a very short period of time, as you see happening right now. It will let you shop and snipe deals on the auction house. It will tell you the profitable items to craft from your professions. It helps you manage and organize your inventory, and it keeps track of your sales and purchases. TSM is for all levels of gold makers, beginner to expert. As you grow your auction house skills, you naturally grow your TSM knowledge. TSM is a beast, don't get overwhelmed. Start small with the basics I'm going to cover here. So let's briefly cover how the framework is set up so you can understand what's going on here. Groups are at the core of TSM. You have to make a group for anything you want to do something with. Once you have a group made, you assign any of the operations you want to that group. There are 6 different operations available: auctioning, crafting, mailing, shopping, vendoring, warehousing. So for every group you make, you can choose any combination of these 6 options. So I'm going to use a very basic example of how to set up a group, which you can then go ahead and apply to any other group you might want to make. If you want more details on how to set up more complex groups, go check out the TSM video on how to set those up. So what I'm going to do right now is walk you through how to set up a group in TSM and apply operations to that group. So we're going to set up our TSM for the jewel crafting 35 stat gems as an example. The first step is always to make the group. So let's go make the group. The second step is to get the items of that group over in this far right hand column. So there's many different ways to do this. I'm going to cover the easiest way in this video. If you want the more complex ways, check out the video on TSM groups. Okay, all I need to do now is run to my guild bank and grab those gems out, and they will then show up into this ungrouped column, and then I just move them over to the group column. So you can see my bags are empty right now. So let's go grab those gems. So those gems are now in here. You just highlight the items for this group, as we're highlighted onto this group right now. Select these items that you want in that group, hit add. Now all of these gems that I wanted in this group are now over there, so we can start applying operations to it. So the next thing that we have to decide is if we want to apply an auctioning operation to this group we've just made. Since we're talking about gems, we most likely want to sell them on the auction house. So let's make a operation for selling them. Here you can set the time frame for how long you want to post your gems for. If you want to post your gems in singles, which you probably do. If you want to post 1 or 2 gems at a time, you can set this to be whatever number you want. If you want to drop your bid percent down a little bit, you can. You can put your prices down here, your minimum price, your normal price, and your maximum price. So that gives the range that you want to post the gems in. You can use fixed pricing, and you can also use custom pricing. I'll use fixed pricing in this example for this video. In my other video with TSM auctioning, I'll cover some of the more complex methods. Let's say that these gems cost us 10 gold to make. We could sell them the lowest price, for example 12 gold, and sell them a normal price be 25 gold, which is what they typically sell for. And then if they happen to kind of be a little bit more expensive on one particular day, you can set the highest price to be 50 gold. So what that's basically doing is the gems that are in this group, it will sell them anywhere from 12 gold at the lowest up to 50 gold at the highest, and it will sell them in that range. And then over here you have some options of when the gems currently on the auction house, if they happen to be below the minimum price you have set, what do you want it to do? Not post the gems at all, post the gems anyway. You select what you want it to do. Same thing if all of the gems that are on the auction house in this group happen to be above your highest price of 50 gold, what do you want it to do? Do you want it to post it at its normal price? Do you want it to post it at its maximum price? So you just select how you want it to work. So the next thing that we have to decide is if we want to apply a crafting operation to this group of gems. Since gems are crafted, then we obviously want to make a crafting operation. So you can do this a number of different ways. You can set it to make 20 of all of those gems, regardless if they're profitable or not on your auction house, and you can post 1 or 2 at a time out of your bag so you don't have to spend as much time crafting. Or you can set a minimum profit and only craft ones that happen to be profitable on your server at any point in time. So you can set your minimum profit limit. Now you don't want this to be too high since we're talking about gems, so anything around the 5 gold range in profit, pretty good for those gems. You could set it to be 5 gold. Different groups will have different minimum profits to set. Anytime any of the gems in that group are on the auction house with at least 5 gold minimum profit, it will tell you to craft them. The next thing we need to think about is if we want to set up a mailing operation for this group of gems. If you're just crafting the gems on one character and selling it on the exact same character, you wouldn't want a mailing operation. But if you're crafting the gems on one character and sending them off to an alt to post them on the auction house, then you would want a mailing operation. So let's just go ahead and set that up. And you type in the name of the alt that you want to send it to and make sure that you get it right. No mistakes. If you want to keep a certain amount of these gems in your bags and only send the rest over to your alt, you can set that in here. If you want to set a max quantity that you want to send off to your alt, you can put that in here. And you can also tell it to include in its restock items that might be in the bank or guild bank. So you got lots of options to play around with for all of the different groups you're going to be setting up. You'll be using different options for different groups. So the next thing on the list is shopping. So we have to decide if we want to set up a shopping operation for this group. So let's go ahead and do that. And we talked about earlier these gems costing us 10 gold each to make as an arbitrary number. So we could easily set this to buy all of the gems that were on the auction house up to and including 8 gold. So any that were really cheap, we could just buy them off and then repost them at a higher price and wouldn't have to craft as many, just make profit off other people's work. If you want it to be careful, you didn't buy too many of these particular gems, you could set a max restock quantity to any number you wanted. If you didn't want to have any more than 100, set it to 100. If you don't care about how many you buy, then set it to be 0. Okay, so we've covered the first 4 operations. We've got 2 left. Vendoring and warehousing. Vendoring doesn't apply to this particular group, but it is an awesome new operation that has a lot of great features and uses. So we're going to skip vendoring here, but it'll be covered in some other videos. Warehousing is something that'll be very useful for a lot of your groups. What it basically does is it allows you to quickly move items from your personal inventory into your bank, into your guild bank, and back out again. So let's go ahead and set up a operation for warehousing. Now you've got lots of options here, and I encourage you to read through them and utilize any that would work best for whatever group you're setting up. One of the key ones that you're going to be looking at is going to be the restock. So how many you want to pull out at any given time, because you can easily quickly move all of them in or all of them out, but the restock you need to set a certain amount if you want a certain amount pulled out each time you push the button. So let's say we wanted to pull out 5 gems for our restock. So that's set. Let's go over to our bank and we have that set here. So let's move all of these gems into our guild bank. So you're going to move them all in. They're moved in, and now let's restock. Let's pull out 5 of each of those. So now it's pulled out 5 and I can go post them on the auction house. Now it doesn't have to be 5, that's just a random number, but whatever number for whatever group you're setting up, warehousing is very, very useful, especially for glyphs. So there's 2 features of TSM that I think are pretty important to know about from the get-go. The first one being the macro setup. So if you just go click on TSM features and then go to macro setup, you'll see some options here that you can include in the macro. So you can select them all or you can deselect some of them. What I would advise you is for the shopping options, if when you're shopping on the auction house you typically don't pay attention, then you might want to take the shopping features off, because if you happen to have the gold in your bags and you're just rolling your mouse scroll wheel, you will buy anything and everything that's showing up on your search window, which can be disastrous if someone had posted a vendor item for gold cap and you have gold cap in your bags. You're definitely going to buy that item and be out all of that gold. So It is very convenient to have shopping in the macro, but if you're gonna do it, you gotta pay attention while you're doing it. So the other feature of TSM that I'd like you guys to know about from the get-go is more of a fun feature. So you just go to options here at the top and go to miscellaneous features. And down here you can select the option to turn on a sound every time you sell something on the auction house. So from the drop down menu you can select whichever sound you want and then you can test it over here. So every time you're selling something on the auction house you'll hear that sound and it's a lot of fun. So there's a new feature that's been implemented in TSM. I didn't want to cover it from the get-go because I didn't want to encourage people to use it. I want to encourage people to learn how to use TSM, how to build groups and apply rules to those groups, because that's really going to maximize your gold making potential. But there's always going to be some people who say TSM is too hard, they can't figure it out, the learning curve is too big. So for those people who just will not set up groups and refuse to learn TSM, you can just use this button and it will post anything on the auction house for you that's in your bags. So you guys should know now how to set up any group for anything that you might want in TSM, at least from a basic perspective. If you want to learn more about some of the complex methods of setting up TSM, then have a look at the TSM videos that are specifically related to setting up groups, auctioning, crafting, shopping, warehousing, all of the different operations. I'll have a video for each of those where I'll go into a lot more detail than I could obviously cover in a basic overview video. I hope you guys learned something in this video, or hopefully maybe a few things, and good luck with your gold making adventures.